Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. Today we're looking at the Free Comic Book Day issue of Transformers Unicron. This is issue 0. Now I picked this up at the comic shop kind of on a whim. You were allowed to grab 5, and this was the 5th one I picked up. And I only picked it up because Rom was in it. Well, it's kind of a depressing issue if you're a Rom fan. This is written by John Barber, art by Alex Milne, colors by Sebastian Chung, letters by Tom B. Long, editor was David Marionette, publisher Greg Goldstein. Now, overall, I thought it was a pretty interesting issue. I'm not a huge Transformers fan, so I'm not real familiar with a lot of the characters, but I do know some of the basic ones like Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, the ones that were really heavily featured in the 80s cartoon and in the live-action movies. So it starts off with this giant mouth thing trying to eat Elonia, which is Rom's home planet, and we get a little introduction to the characters as we go, and Wheeljack is trying to figure out a solution to the problem. The Space Knights gather around and try and fly into the anomaly to stop it, and what they find are some dead Cybertronians. One of them is Cliffjumper, and we find out he's dead, so that's bad. Well, the direct assault doesn't go well, and the Space Knights are knocked back. A couple of them may have been killed, it's a little vague, and they end up back on the planet. Well, the Cybertronians beam down to set up some machines to try and evacuate all the living creatures out of there. Rom ends up in what he calls a holy place. It's where their crystalline armor comes from, the Thrail mineral mine, to which, of course, they have to crap all over his religion and say this was never holy. There's nothing noble about war or about what facilitated your ability to wage it. Well, since he's trying to stop an evil race of monsters called the Dire Wraiths, I think that is a bit more noble than letting them get eaten alive by these monsters. So they gotta crap on religion because that's what comic books do now. But it turns out buried in this mine is actually an old Titan that might still be alive, and it means that Elonia is actually one of Cybertron's lost 13 colonies, which sounds to me a little bit like the legend of the Lost Tribe of Israel and that sort of thing. So they're taking some inspiration from religion, but they're going to crap all over it at the same time. Well, it turns out that the crystalline metal that Rom wears is actually based around some sort of Cybertronian regenesis ore, and so that gives them a greater connection to Cybertron, but it's also an excuse to work the planet into the storyline. So Wheeljack manages to figure out that the Titan is what's causing interference with their teleport beam, so they can, if they can disable it or convince this creature emissary to not see the space bridge as a threat, they can beam everyone out. Well, they don't have time for that, so one of the female Transformers just throws these energy blades into the creature and kills it. So that lets Wheeljack use the machine to teleport everyone out. Some of the Space Knights did survive, and it looks like they're going back into the Cybertronian ship as well. They were able to save quite a few people, but there were still billions dead, and their homeworld was consumed. And whatever this thing is, they know its name is Unicron, and it's becoming more powerful and attacking more places, and the more it eats, the greater its strength becomes. And then it ends with the Unicron saying that I hunger. So it's sort of like Robot Galactus, but this was actually a pretty good issue. There were a few things I took issue with. The constant dumping on religion in comics is really annoying. Just, we get it, you're atheists, alright? You don't need to work it into everything. I don't want to hear your personal politics, alright? Just leave it out. Some of the way that the characters talk, I don't know if they talk that way normally or not, but it was a little annoying at times. It was nice to see Rom again, but I don't think he's going to play any kind of part in this storyline. But I get this sense of finality that there seems to be a lot of wrapping up of Hasbro storylines, and the fact that they're ending Transformers, which has been a very popular book from what I can tell, is a little worrisome that IDW might be losing their license. So I hope not, because I'd really like them to bring Rom back, do a regular series with Rom properly, and have some kind of Transformers book. I think they should have had a kid's book of Transformers where it's not political, it's not anything threatening, make it more like the cartoon, and I think that would have sold well, but what do I know? So I'm actually interested to see where this goes, and I'll probably pick up Transformers Unicron. It starts in July. Hopefully that'll be a good story and a good end cap for the series if they're going to cancel it, which is disappointing. I do like the Transformers, I just don't know much about them. I haven't read any of the books since Marvel, but hopefully it's done well, and hopefully it has Rom in it, but we'll see. Until then, I would definitely recommend this issue. If you get a chance to pick it up, please do so. It's part of the Free Comic Book Day thing, so you might be able to find it for free yet, but I doubt it'll be real expensive until the event actually starts. arts. So keep an eye out for it and give it a chance. It's a great introduction to the Unicron story, and if you like Transformers, it could be good stuff for you. That'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.